Hello guys, welcome to the tutorial by Elisa of 8051 microcontroller. Today we are going to learn the 10th topic in this 8051 microcontroller, that is timer as timer. Let's directly head to the contents of this tutorial. The first is what is timer? Here we are going to see what is the difference between a mechanical clock and an electronic timer. The second is control logic architecture of timer in 8051. That is how this timer is incorporated in 8051 microcontroller and how that logic works. The third is basic registers for timer operations which are used in this controller. And then at the last we are going to see various applications of timer block in any of the controller present. So what is timer? You all must be knowing the mechanical clock which works on the principle of electromagnetism for giving us a fixed offset of second hand which is thereby converted into minute and hour hand by appropriate gear ratios. These mechanical clocks are not fixed in our accessories such as personal computer, laptops or our mobile phones. Instead of this, the controller with timers or real-time clock modules are used. In most of the electronic system which operates on real-time signal, timer is of utter importance. Because, for example, now I'm recording my audio in a machine. Now, if this machine doesn't have a timer, how it will know that what is the time flow of my audio signal and how it will be stored in its memory? If it doesn't have a timer, then it may happen that the machine stores my audio in a very fast mode or in a very slow mode. So when we are hearing this again, we will get a slow motion audio or a very fast motion audio. How will it know that what is the time flow of my signal? So timer is of utter importance and its knowledge is very important for us as an electronics engineer. Now there are two timers in 8051 controller. They are 16-bit timers. A question arises how a 16-bit timer is associated with an 8-bit controller. The designer of 8051 controller were very smart. What they did is to increase the capability of 8051. They divided this 16-bit timer into two registers of 8 bits independently. The higher byte of the timer is stored in TH0 register and the lower byte of the timer is stored in the TL0 register. Similarly for timer 1, that is TH1 the upper byte and TL1 the lower byte. These two are independent registers, so they can be associated with 8-bit microcontroller. Now going to the control logic of 8051 microcontroller. First of all, let's see this rectangular box, how it works. If, for example, if we have connected a 12 MHz crystal in the place of XTAL oscillator, it will be divided by 12 in the controller logic. So we are getting 12 divided by 12 is equals to 1 MHz clock at the terminal of the switch. Now when this C/T equals to 0, this 1 MHz is connected to the timer register. But when C/T is equals to 1, we can get the oscillations from the TX pin, that is pin 3.4 or 3.5 of the controller. That is C/T is a signal which can be used to get the frequency of the oscillator from a crystal oscillator or from a clock which you will give from an external pin. Then we will see the another block of this control logic, that is the bottom one. Here we can see that a NOT gate, an OR gate and an AND gate is associated here to control the on and off of the analog switch. If the gate is equals to 0, what we get at the output of the NOT gate is equals to 1 and thereby B is always equals to 1. That is, as this is an OR gate, the output of the OR gate depends only on one input if any of the input is 1. So it doesn't depend on the input pin, that is int 0. Now this b equals to 1, therefore one of the input to the AND gate is equals to 1. So whenever the TR signal is equals to 1, we get C equals to 1, which in thereby on the switch. That is, we get the 1 MHz clock to the timer registers. Here, the gate pin is used for software or hardware control of the timer. TR is the signal which you can control in software. If you make it 1, the timer will start. If you make it 0, the timer will switch off when gate is equals to 0. Now if you want to control this timer operation through a hardware signal, that is, you want to give a signal from the outside and control the on of this timer, what you need to do is make the gate signal 1. This is how we will get the B output, which will depend on the another input of the OR gate, which is INT0 pin, that is external interrupt pin. Now when external interrupt pin is 1, we will get B equals to 1. Have a caution here. While working on external source for triggering the timer, you need to keep TR signal equals to 1 so that the output of AND gate depends only on the output of OR gate, that is B signal, which will thereby control the switch. That's how the frequency from the XTL oscillator, that is 12 MHz oscillator, is given to the timer register in the control logic of 8051. Now going further, let's have a look on the registers associated with timer. The first register is TMOD, that is timer mode control register. It is an 8-bit register which has the lower 4 bit associated with timer 0 and the upper 4 bit with timer 1. As we have seen earlier, the gate bit is used to control the triggering of timer by hardware or software. The C/T is used to configure timer as timer or the timer as counter, that is to count the internal clock pulses, that is using timer as timer. And if we want to count the external clock pulses, then it is called as timer as counter. The M1 M0 selects the mode in which the timer will work. 00 will select the mode 0. 01 will select mode 1, and similarly 10 for mode 2 and 11 for mode 3. We will see this mode in detail afterwards. The second register which is associated with timer is TCON register, that is timer control register. In this timer control register, for our importance, there are only 4 bits. The upper 4 bits, the TF1. TF1 is timer 1 overflow flag. TR1 is timer 1 run control bit. That is, we have seen there, if TR equals to 1, the output of the AND gate is equals to 1, which in thereby controls the switch of the analog circuit in the control logic of 8051. This is how the timer 1 or timer 0 is controlled by TR bit in TCON register. Similarly, TF0 and TR0 for timer 0. Now you must be thinking, what is TF1? TF1 is an overflow flag. That is, whenever the timer reaches its maximum count, it roll over to 000 count, and at that time this flag becomes 1. If we are writing in the software, we need to check this TF1 or TF0 flag for rollover of the timer. Whenever the timer goes from FFF to 000, this flag becomes 1. Always have a look of what you are writing in TH0 and TL0 of timer, what we have seen in the first, because if we want a delay of 5 microseconds, say 5 clock signals in an 8-bit register, what we do usually is we write 250. That is, we count that after 250 it will count 251, 252, 253, 254 and then 255, and then it will become 0. But we need to know that it also counts a pulse from 255 to 0, that is, it will count as 6 pulses. So if you want to measure the 5 clock pulses, you need to write 251 in TL0 register of timer. That That's why it will count 5 pulses, that is from 250 to 1, 253, 254, 255 and then 0 again, that is 5 clock pulses. This is timer overflow condition. Now going to the modes of timer. First, we have seen that whenever the mode bit, that is M1 and M0 of the respective timer are set to 00, we get a 13-bit timer. Now you have a question that how a 13-bit timer, because both the registers of 88-bit, so 16-bit. But what they have done is they have used the higher 8 bits and the TLX, that is lower registers only 5 bits. This is how they have made a 13-bit timer. Whenever a overflow condition takes place, a reset signal is given to this timer to make them 000, and the TF flag, that is timer overflow flag, is set to 1. When M1 M0 bits of decount register are 0 1, mode 1 is selected. In mode 1, they have used both the registers to their full capabilities, that is both registers using 8-bit and 8-bit and making the timer as a 16-bit timer. In mode 2, that is when M1 and M0 are 1-0, they have done an arrangement of auto reload from TH to TL. Whenever the 8-bit TL register overflows, it generates a reset signal to itself, and the buffer is given a high signal which auto reloads the TL register with the value written in the TH register. It also makes the timer overflow flag, that is TFX, as 1. In mode 3, that is whenever M1 and M0 are set, that is 1 1, we get the split timer mode for timer registers. Here the designers have used both the flags with timer 0 registers, thereby using it to the full capability. The timer 0 overflow flag is used with the lower register of timer 0, and the timer 1 overflow flag is used with the higher register of timer 0. The timer 1 can be used as another timer to count the pulses, but we will not get any flag to use with that because the timer 1 overflow flag is associated with the TH0 register. We can use the timer 1 and we can have a look over whenever it overflows, that is we can have a condition like this: if the timer 1, that is TL0, TL1 and TH1 is equals to FFFF, then do this. This is how we can use the two timers as 3. Now going to applications. What you will think? The first application is to generate precise amount of delay. The second is to generate a square wave of required frequency or period. And the third, to measure the pulse width of given input signal. Whenever there is requirement of precise amount of delay, we need to consider timer as a very important factor. We can create any amount of delay by using timer. Let's have a look for an example. If we want a delay of 0.5 seconds, then what we will do is, as we all know, if it is used in 16-bit timer mode, the maximum count is 65536. Now this is the overflow condition. For example, if we want to measure 0.5 seconds, we need to have 500 milliseconds, thereby 500,000 microseconds. But it cannot be stored in this register. The maximum count is 65,536 microseconds because our clock is of 1 megahertz. What we can do is we can use a for loop which will make many iterations to have a capability of measuring or having various delays. So what I have divided this is I have used only 25,000, that is 25,000 microseconds. If we subtract that by 65536, what we will get is 40536. Now this 25,000 microseconds means 25 milliseconds. And to generate 500 milliseconds, what we can do is 25 milliseconds into 20 is equals to 500 milliseconds. We can have a for loop of 20 iterations to make a delay of 0.5 seconds. Now the decimal value is 40536. We have to write this in the timer registers. For example, if we are using the timer 0 register, we have to write in TH0 and TL0. So we need to have the hex value of this. The hex value is 9E58. Now going to the delay function. Here you can see that I have written the same example of 0.5 seconds in Kyle Microvision. First line is hash include register 51.h. I have created a function named T1M1 delay. You can see this function here. Void T1M1 delay void. Here I have done is tmod equals to 0x10. Now if you remember, the upper 4 bits are for timer 1. And if I'm writing it 0, if I'm writing as 0001 in binary for that upper nibble, we will get timer 1 as timer in mode 1, that is 16 bit. Now we have calculated the value of what we need to write in the register. That is, in the upper register we need to write 9E and in the lower register we need to write 58. The TR1 is used to start the timer. When we make TR1 equals to 1, the timer starts. Now here it is a loop. To have a loop on the flag, whenever TF1 equals to 0, it will perform nothing and will be inside this loop only. And when the TF1 becomes equals to 1, it will overpass this loop and come to this line. Here we have stopped the timer, that is TR1 equals to 0 and cleared the flag TF1 0. In our main example, what we have done is we have done return to the port 2 as 0x55 and in while 1 we have complemented that P2 equals to complement of P2. In the for loop we have done 20 iterations, that is 0 to 20, or we can say 0 to 19, because when x equals to 20 it will overflow and will go again to the while 1 condition. Here we have called that our function of delay of 0.5 seconds. Let's have a look to the output of this program. In the debug mode, here I have set up the P2 two signals, that is P2.2 and P2.3. If I start this and then stop, zoom out some, we will get the signal. Again I have started that. Zoom out. Here are the pulses. If we measure the delay between a toggle, it will be 0.5 seconds. Let me show you. Here you can see that the delay between the two toggle conditions is 0.5 second. That is delta equals to 0.50318 seconds. Now going to the other application of our timer, that is to generate a square wave of required frequency or period. The same functionality of timer to generate delay can be used to generate a square wave. As you have seen in my project, I have created a square wave on P2 of 0.5 seconds to toggle, that is 1 second a full square wave, that is 1 Hertz. And the third application of timer is to measure the pulse width of the given input signal. How we can measure the pulse width of the given input signal? What we can do is we can start the timer on the rising edge of the signal and can stop the timer on the falling edge of the signal. Let's have a look on the Proteus simulation of this example. What I have done is I have given a square pulse on P3.4. This is of 100 Hz. So what the pulse width will show you is this. That is a 5000 microsecond or 4999 microsecond for 100 Hz. You must have learned the LCD interfacing with 8051 in the previous tutorial. You can use it here. As you can see, I have given a 100 Hz square wave to P3.4 and have measured the pulse width. I have displayed that pulse width on an LCD display. There are various uses of timer as timer. In my own project, I was supposed to create a stop clock. Not a stop clock exactly, it was something like you have to set the time and then start. And if it becomes 0, it should stop. I will show you that project. Let's have a look over it. Here I have interfaced a keyboard of 2 by 3 matrix, an LCD, and this is the microcontroller 8051. What I have done is I have printed hour, minute, second and millisecond on this LCD. You can increment or decrement by using these push buttons. Down means it will count down, up it will count up, and right left for navigating it. We will set hour equals to 23, seconds equals to 59 and milliseconds equals to 998, and then I will start it. The clock started. This is an example of real-time clock. I have generated a clock from the software and have displayed on the LCD by using the timer module of 8051. To make this project more precise, what I have done is I have used the timer in mode 2, that is auto reload mode. In the previous example, you must have seen that it was not that precise. We were getting a 1 microsecond error in measuring the pulse width. So let's see the software or the program associated with this code, with this hardware. Here I have used the timer 0 in mode 2 auto reload mode. I have counted 250 microseconds in one count. For that I have written TL0 and TH0 with 6, i.e. this is the interrupt register. In this register I have enabled the timer 0 interrupt, which calls the interrupt service routine of timer 0 whenever an overflow condition occurs. Now going to the interrupt service routine of timer 0. This is the interrupt service routine of timer 0. ISR TMR0 interrupt 1. Instead of having a for loop to measure 1 millisecond delay, I have created an imaginary or a virtual for loop in the interrupt service routine. What I have done is, after every 250 microsecond, this interrupt service routine will be called and it will increment this count variable. When this count variable becomes 4, it will enter into this loop. It will make the count equals to 1 and again it will check if millisecond variable equals to 0, and if it is 0 it will do nothing, and if millisecond is not 0 it will decrement the millisecond. That is, we have counted 1 millisecond. This will affect what we are printing on the LCD. This is the function which we have called after pressing the start button. You can see here, if we press the start button, we call this function void function, and in this void function I have called the start button. Here you can see when the fifth key, that is start key, is pressed, we call the start function, and in the start function I have set the timer in mode 2 and enabled the interrupt and started the timer. In the while one I have checked the hour, minute, second and millisecond variables. If they are 0, I have break this while one loop. This is how I have done the real-time clock signal more precise by using timer in auto reload mode. Using timer in interrupt is very useful because it makes our main program, the main while loop in the main program is empty of instructions regarded to timer. Here I have checked which key has been pressed by the user. If I have used timer as timer without an interrupt, I should have written the checking flag in this main loop and it will take time. So it will not check which button is pressed by the user. Instead, it will be somewhere using the instructions for timer. So making use of interrupts while having timer in use is of very importance. We can do any task in this main program as timers are used in interrupts. After looking to its applications, we are to an end of this session. So thank you, and for any suggestions, please do mail us at volchan.elisa@gmail.com and like us on www.facebook.com/wceselisa. Thank you.